Hello and welcome back for the continuation of the topic on the Niger killing. So in the first class on this topic, we discussed how the developments in Punjab acts as a backdrop to this whole issue. And today we are going to complete the rest of the topic. This the free fall of the Indo-Canada ties, the background to it, and then we will look into the intelligence network that goes on and the uh, aspect of legitimacy of covert operations as a part of the security toolkit of any sovereign nation. So with that, let us begin. So as we discussed in last class, there is a direct link between what is happening in Punjab and what is happening in Canada. Actually, there are NIA investigation to show or to portray the link between the radicals in Canada and how they hire gangsters to create problems in India. So these are working with different motives. These are also nefarious elements with their own agendas, and they combine and create problems for the common people, for the establishment, and for the nation at large. So there is a nexus. As I told you in the last class, there is a problem in Punjab, but that problem is not the Khalistan problem. The problem is the nexus between gangs and the radicals. So there is a law and order problem. There is a problem of external influence, illegitimate networks, siphoning out funds, and people as well through illegitimate channels to places like Canada, Italy, and other countries like Armenia, Europe, and other places, as I referred to Portugal also. So what does it say? It actually hampers the Punjab's economy and as a chronology or as a analogy to it, India's economy. So there is this nexus between the Punjab gangs and Sikh radicals, and you must be aware that there is a kind of a gun culture in Punjab. In fact, the popular culture has been mixed up with gun culture or gang culture. Popular culture represented by the popular singers and how the use of um, such assertions, which are not very, let's say, very peaceful or very constructive for the society, are actually creating problems. They are also a part of the problem. So popular culture being mixed up with gang culture. There is projection of gun culture. There is lawlessness, obviously. None better than the death of Sidhu Moosewala to highlight the fact that there is this problem of the unholy nexus between the popular culture and the gang culture. So there is identity assertion, patronizing revenge killing, vigilante justice, glamorizing shotgun, .45 rifle. All this are in fact part of lyrics of many popular Punjabi songs. So that is the prop actually. It will be naive to only consider the pop stars as responsible because they are part of the problem. They also need to act responsibly. They are part because they are promoting a kind of bravado or false bravado, you have to say. Kind of machismo is in there. You are trying to project like you are a anti-hero of sort. So that is actually fueling you can say, it is fueling the frustration, fueling the anger. The fact that the youth of Punjab do not have sufficient avenues through which they can explore their potential, or they can diffuse their energies. So since that is not there, so it is actually diverted to such anti-social activities. So now, looking at India-Canada relation, because that is the main focal point of the issue. So India-Canada relation has been actually quite strong, to everyone's surprise. India and Canada has its, if we, India and Canada has a strategic partnership. India and Canada has shared values. This term you should have heard with respect to relation with US, and similarly placed democracies. So values like democracy, values like pluralism are cherished in both the countries. So we have shared values with Canada. Then of course there are high level interactions. Now, although Trudeau's relation with Narendra Modi is quite fraught, as the developments have showed, but there has been high-level interactions. In fact, the previous leaders like Stephen Harper had very good relation. Actually, reformed, or you can say rejuvenated the relation in times of the conservatives in the 2000s. So high-level interactions is there. Then there is big people-to-people interaction. So we have a big student community from India studying in Canada. And as you know, we have a big Sikh community in Canada. So all these things should, and if you can add to all these aspects, the fact that in the current age, we are seeing heightened economic collaboration. Canadian pension funds are huge investors in Indian pension fund market. You know, when you people will be in the job, you won't get pension. So you will come under the NPS scheme. How does the NPS scheme work? It is you contribute a portion of your gross salary to it, and government contributes an equal amount, and that is invested by or managed by pension funds, large funds in the market, and that way when the asset grows, your pension fund grows. So those big fund managers, those big pension fund companies, many Canadian companies are also there, or companies with Canadian investment is there. Canada has good investment potential, or they are investing really big in India. But in spite of that, what we are seeing now is that Canada has become the new Pakistan in India's world view. So if we want to assert this fact that Canada is the new Pakistan in India's world view, will it be wrong? It will not be wrong if you consider the statements coming out of Government of India. So we actually have ordered diplomats, Canadian diplomats, to move out of India. We have said that we need to bring parity between the presence, India's diplomatic presence in Canada, and vis-a-vis Canadian diplomatic presence in India. So it is disproportionate, and that is, you can say, the main issue is that Indian government has cited that there has been interference by Canadian diplomats in India's internal affairs. That is a big allegation. So that shows that the relation is very stale at this moment. In fact, India's foreign minister, as Jaishankar, has said that Canada has very permissive attitude towards organized crime and terrorism. So you can understand what a big allegation that is and what it means to Indo-Canadian relation when the foreign minister of a country of India has to say such word that Canada is permissive towards organized crime and extremism. When did we hear such strong words said last time? Only with reference to Pakistan. In fact, we don't need such words with respect to China. So that is the state of relations. Yeah, we have been very unequivocal in this regard, unambiguous in this regard. We say that India has used words, or Government of India, Ministry of External Affairs has said that Canada is now a safe haven for terrorists, extremists, and organized. So it shows how the problem has become quite big. And Canada, do remember this fact that Canada is a very important nation in the world. Canada is part of major alliances or major groups. NATO comes to mind. And of course, G20, as the summit was held in India, G7, and then very crucially, the Five Eyes Alliance, what it is and what is India's potential in it. We will discuss on all those aspects as we move forward. So, what has triggered India's reaction, or why is India so intrigued by what has happened in Canada? So, Canada actually, what Canada did just now was Canada named the top Indian diplomat in Canada as a, you can say, as an accused in the nature killing. So that is quite a revelation because that doesn't happen naturally. The Geneva Convention diplomats enjoy diplomatic immunity, and Vienna Convention. So such an act of Canada cannot be condonable. You cannot condone such activities. It is creating threats for Indian diplomats there. There are threats to Indian diplomats. In fact, in San Francisco in USA, although the matter has been sorted, the local authorities have moved in, there was attack on Indian consulate in San Francisco by certain radicals. So let us look into the background of India-Canada relation. And it is always very enlightening if we look into things from a perspective rather than directly going into what is happening. Because most of the time, although we might have the knowledge, we don't actually have the, you can say, fallback option in case of such knowledge. Like we cannot recall those things immediately as the events happen. So India-Canada relation during the Cold War period, like after the independence of India, the global um, order was dominated by the Cold War between USA and USSR. So under that circumstance, Canada was in the US camp and India was a de facto USSR or Soviet ally, de facto, as the 1971 treaty, Indo-Soviet treaty underlined. So Canada during Cold War was in USA camp, but still the relation was not that fraught compared to what Indo-US relation was. Actually, under the Colombo Plan, Canada actually provided, or Canada's highest India became the largest recipient of foreign aid from Canada, all the foreign aid that was provided by developed countries at that time. So India was the country which received the largest amount of foreign aid from Canada. But thankfully, as we gained more economic might, as we gained more economic confidence, this policy change happened in 2006 during the time of Singh government. So we actually said that we will stopped the policy of foreign aid. Till 2006, we were receiving foreign aid. So in 2006, Manmohan Singh government said there no foreign aid. So this policy became clear. That there was this clear policy that we won't be receiving any foreign aid. So that is a side note on this issue. And what is the background of the setbacks? Now we are facing a setback, but this setback has not been a new setback. In fact, historically speaking, there has been three setbacks, three big setbacks. The first came in 18 May 1974. So what happened was Pokhran 1 happened. So Pokhran 1, as you know, Pokhran 1 was the first nuclear test that was done by India in Pokhran. So what happened was that we had a Canadian collaboration in 1950s in this reactor Cyrus. You might know that although we developed full potential for developing the bomb in 1974, but we had a nuclear program going on in 50s. And so in that, we had collaboration with Russia, we had collaboration with countries like Canada. So the purpose was to develop it for peaceful purpose. But there were like Canada believed, or it is an accepted fact that the plutonium out of this reactor from Canada, or the Canada aided reactor, helped in development of the bomb in 1974. So this created a cleavage in the relationship. It brought back the relationship. So there was no further transfer of fissile material from Canada post 74. So actually this again revived only very recently in 2015. The second setback was when Pierre Trudeau, who was Pierre Trudeau? He's the father of this Justin Trudeau. So he had been Canada's prime minister for a very long time, like from 68 to 79, and then from 80 to 84. So he had a long tenure. In that period, Sikh radicalism was rising in Canada. Problems in India was fueled through Canada. Indira Gandhi warned Trudeau that these people might create problems. Please control them, check their activities. But nothing happened. They ignored. And then we had the biggest terrorist attack before 9/11. What was the biggest terrorist attack in a global scale? It was the 1985 Air India Kanishka Airlines. That was Air India flight. It was a bombing of this jumbo jet, which led to the death of the passengers, and it was a very, very big setback for Indo-Canadian relation. India, it was a clear negligence on the part of Canadian authorities that they could not check these activities or check those perpetrators and forget stopping the crime. They are yet to give full justice to the victims because only one person has been tried and he also has been given lenient sentence and he is now free. So there is no proper trial that was conducted post this event. So it was a direct, you can say, discord between India and Canada, or this event actually put the relation back quite a bit. Then 1998 Pokhran 2 happened, and again, like Canada has this tendency of following the US. Of course, it is like a twin sibling of USA. Whatever USA does, it follows and suit. So when 98 happened, like USA, it admonished India. It took steps, or it took it took part in the sanctions that was imposed on India. But by 2000, USA realized that no, India is a responsible nuclear power, and more importantly, India is an emerging market which can have the potential of reviving US economy. So Canada also wants to take a sip of the river of economy that was flowing in India. So they also try to review or uh, rejuvenate or rekindle the relation. So by 2006, Stephen Harper, as a goodwill gesture, he set up a judicial inquiry committee on the Kanishka bombing. So that was done. Then 2010, actually during the time of conservatives, Indo-Canada relations were quite good. After the coming of this Trudeau, the relation has again fallen back because you will understand why. We'll come to know. 2010, we had signed the civil nuclear deal with Canada, which actually paved the way for transfer of uranium, plutonium to India from Canada. Canada has a huge reserve of uh, such fissile materials. And as I referred to you briefly, 2015, Canada actually produces 13% of world's uranium. So by 2015, Canada sent its first shipment to India after 1974. So things were improving on the ground. And by 2018, actually, when Trudeau came for the first time, things were moving in that direction only. The trajectory that it was taking, the trajectory was moving up. It was getting better. And then 2018, there was this agreement signed between India and Canada on tackling violent crimes. And surprisingly, in that agreement, the names of groups like Babbar Khalsa International Sikh Youth Federation were also included, along with ISIS, of course, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. So in that period, Times of India reported that it is a first that Canada has called for action against Sikh terror groups. And in a joint document in India, it was a positive development. So 2018, Canada called for action against Sikh terror groups in joint document with India. It is a big development. Earlier, Canada never did anything like that. But again, there was this twist in relation. Well, when the 2020-21 farm protest came, so there Trudeau made certain comments which made India angry, and definitely should. He had no local standing of making such comments. And farm agitation, if you remember, the most visible face was that of the Sikh farmer. So there was widespread support from overseas Sikhs in Canada, but it did not justify Trudeau as a leader of a foreign country to say something on a domestic one. Protest was essentially a domestic issue. Canada should have had nothing to do with it. It was a domestic issue. It was an economic issue. It was an agrarian issue. So Canada should have had nothing to do with it. The only why it intervened or why did it say? Because it had a large community of Canada Sikh in Canada, which were actually a vote bank of the Trudeau family. So, statistically speaking, we have around 3.7% of Canada's population, or PIO, person of Indian origin, are around 3.7% of the total population of Canada, and out of that, 40% are Sikh. And it is as I say, it's a solid vote bank. So basically, vote bank politics of Trudeau, failure to punish the bombers of Indian Airlines or Air India 182 bomber, that bombing that happened. in 1985 of the Air India flight, and the failure to punish them. Such activities has actually created problems on how can you trust a country if it is not honest in its dealings with you, overtly as well as covertly. And 2023, actually, you can say the Lakshman Rekha was crossed when Canadian government named an Indian diplomat. And naming somebody in a foreign country is a very risky thing, because you are not only putting his life in threat, you are putting the life of his family also for the whole life. You are expelling the diplomat, okay, but when you name that, he becomes a target for all those people who are looking for a target. So you should not have done something like that. And the power of Sikh lobby Canada is such that once in 2018, after the signing of the agreement, there was this annual report on terror in Canada, where these militants or this Babbar Khalsa International and such groups were named, but later they were diluted or they were taken out. So that is the fraught state of relation between India and Canada at this moment. Now we are seeing that visas are not being issued, diplomats are getting expelled, or we are trying asking them to reduce the number of diplomats. And moreover, the optics of it, we are clearly and unambiguously saying such thing that Canada is a home to terror that is spread in India. So, networks are there, and there are actually many extradition requests. You might have heard about gangsters like Goldie Ibrahim. We have put extradition request in Canada. Still, there is nothing happening. No progress on ground. And if you want to know the man behind this trouble, who is the man? Trouble means the trouble issue that we are dealing with, the Niger. So, who is he? Is he a saint, or is he such a pious guy? Actually, if you see, look at the evidence, it is not such a case. What Trudeau says that there are credible allegation. He doesn't say evidence. He says credible allegation is there of India's hand in this. Death. But this fellow is supposed to be a religious preacher, but there are videos of him running armed training camps. So, and was in interview, you cannot justify, or in anywhere in life, you cannot justify the fact that somewhere else and kill somebody. At least not at least in a new territory. Those things cannot be justified in a report or in a civilized way, if you are talking. But such things happen. Actually, this nature person, in 2007, there was this Ludhiana cinema. In that, he is the prime minister. Then there is in 2016, there was an Interpol red corner net notice against him. He's not such a clean guy. Okay. And when Trudeau visited India in 2018, Amrinder Singh, the CM of Punjab at that time, gave him the 10 most wanted men of Punjab, and one of them was nature. So he had been creating problem in India since then. And 2018 also, there was such activities, or there were steps taken to subdue him by Canada, but later on he was released. And NIA, in fact, gave a prize on his head. So there are many FIRs. And the person, Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, who is supposedly, the Western media portrays him as the lawyer of nature, but he's somebody who threatened India's balkanization at the time when Trudeau was in India. So you can well imagine what type of person he is. So see, what goes on in Canada is like, it's a merry-go-round thing of lots of money and lots of gun. So there are many Sikh organizations who try to, obviously their purpose is to get as much easy money as possible. Easy Sikh organization means Sikh nefarious organizations. It will be wrong to say just club it as Sikh organization and try to malign it. No, those claiming to be fighting for the Sikh, but their main purpose is to siphon in uh, illegal money or easy money. And ISI is also fueling it. And there are many rival gangs within. So it is just a perfect maelstrom. Okay. And this perfect maelstrom, where you have lots of money flowing, lots of wrong people involved, there will be such chaos. And in this, the incident happened. Even the Canadian police are yet to identify the NIA is acting, Government of India is acting now. We are trying to charge all those people who we demand extradition. We are charging them under UPSC so that we can confiscate their properties in India and try to reduce their influence in India. So this is how the things are with respect to Indo-Indian relations. Now, the Five Eyes Alliance. What is the Five Eyes Alliance? It was created post World War II with the belief that the association of the English speaking, it is kind of an association of Anglosphere. Don't misunderstand it as a white people's club. No, French are not invited. Germans are also not invited. It's an Anglosphere, you can say. So it's an English speaking people's club, 5 countries club, as I referred to you earlier: USA, Canada, Australia, UK, and New Zealand. So they share their intelligence. So the fact that Indian diplomats or India's involvement in user killing has been alleged by Canada is also based on some information from some 5I, so possibly USA. So such is the thing that they have a very strong security or intelligence cooperation. They are part of NATO also. So now it is actually very naive to consider that India will. Some people are saying that India would have been part of Five Eyes Alliance, but this is creating problems. But no, if you are speaking in those terms, then you don't understand the West. They have their interest, and for that they will align with you or their interest, but they have certain basic fundamental equations going on among themselves, which they will always abide by. So it's highly unlikely that India will ever be part of such an alliance. Although we can, like you can say, like a no, like Pakistan is a major non-NATO ally, we can somehow become part of that collaboration for certain specific purpose. Say, for God forbid, there is a war with China, then there can be intelligence sharing. In fact, you should know this. In this Galwan class, USA's intelligence helped India. USA provided intelligence, both digital intelligence, the high-tech intelligence was provided by USA that aided it. So such collaboration is quite possible among strategic partners, but being part of an alliance is quite a long shot. So actually, the famous Iron Curtain speech, if you search at Google, you will find given by search. So there, he asserted the fact that if the English-speaking countries need to protect their shared interest, then they need to not only guard their borders with force, but also keep their eyes open. And that is why Five Eyes. And what is the meaning of eyes in this? Actually, in the terminology of spycraft, you have multiple levels of secrecy. So the highest level of secrecy is for your eyes only, or for your eyes. Okay, eyes only is the top level of classification of spy or spycraft information. So they are sharing even that aspect. So that is why it is called Five Eyes Alliance. So that is certain basic aspects. And then the legitimacy of overt ops. Now, it is a well accepted fact. Canada, be mindful, Canada is not alleging, or they are not raising the point that why India is like doing it now, or like legitimacy of a covert operation. No, many top countries do it. USA does it. Israel does it very uh, in a manner that becomes the envy of all. Okay. So covert operation has been carried out in past. It is a part of your security toolkit, and that aspect is not questioned. Right now, the problem is that in India we are facing many exposures that questions the competence. This is not the only exposure that has happened. I'm not saying that India is part of it, but say our assumptions say India had conducted. But if it is conducted, then why the exposure? So that brings into question competence. Such exposures has happened in UAE, in Germany. Kulbhushan Yadav, you very well know. Pixel position is not he is not a spy. He is supposedly a civilian working there. But such activities or such events, we need more fish, or possibly more competence. There is a question of competence, or there is a question of doing it in a more better way. Okay. So covert operations of your statecraft. That is the thing. But here I will deal with this aspect of the envy that we have of Israel. Right now, what is happening in Israel? Operation Al-Aqsa flood is happening. There is a war going between the Hamas militants and Israel. And remember, Prime Minister Modi pointed it out acts that India supports India supports Israel. It's a clear stand. Earlier, we used to maintain a ambiguous position. We used to maintain that non-alignment and stuff, strategic autonomy. So it used to be like nuanced, or we try to balance the relation between Israel and Palestine. But now we are saying no. Hamas is a militant group, and the militant group is attacking a sovereign country, and that is not right. So we are clearly, the policy shift is happening in front of our eyes. So be mindful of the fact what PM Modi tweeted. If you have not seen the tweet, go and check it out in Google. So, but notwithstanding that fact, there is this envy of Israel. Actually, we believe, or there are people, most of us believe that Israel, if it has sees a problem, it kills it and problem solves. But is it so? Is it quite that simple? Actually, dealing with territorial dissidents, how Israel has dealt with the territorial dissidents, has fascinated the world. Popular culture has also played a role. Movies like Munich, then this recent series on Netflix, Fauda. If you have not seen, you can see if you have time. It's quite good. So such things has brought into the popular understanding that Israel is really successful in dealing with its internal problems or its problems of security. But if you go in a bit further, can India replicate what Israel does? The answer, unfortunately, is no. Why? You can actually get this question in interview, that can India replicate? Because that milieu is such, if something is happening in Israel, you can be asked. So if you are justifying it in no, and you should actually, because mainly there are three reasons. The first reason is that India, unlike Israel, is having two nuclear armed enemies in our border. Here we are referring to China and Pakistan. So we have two nuclear armed, China and Pakistan. What does it mean? Like if Israel, right now, the problem that is happening in Israel, this is attacking Israel. So Israel can go on escalating um, the war. In any war, there is something called escalation ladder. What does it mean? Suppose I throw you a stone, you throw me a bullet. I throw you a bullet, you throw me a bomb. I throw you a bomb, you throw me a bigger bomb. So this is called the escalation ladder. You can keep going on. Israel can do it because its environment is such. It has been doing it first of all, and it is not threatened by nuclear attack, which can actually, you can well imagine, it can push you to rebels. But India cannot afford to go on escalating because end will be nuclear. So that is a detriment to all. So you cannot, you are living in a geography, you are living in an environment where you cannot go on the escalation ladder. So it is difficult for India to go for tit for tat. Although right now we are seeing that we are taking action in piecemeal basis like it happened in Balakot, but still it is, you can say that we are we are optimistic about it, but we are equally cautious. Second factor why India cannot be like Israel is because of the strategic relation that Israel has with the West. Israel's position with West vis-a-vis India's position is quite different. If when this thing happens, when there's a problem in Israel, the kind of diplomatic space that it will get in the world, in the West, such thing will not happen with India. You should read history how when India went to war with Pakistan in last when it last went to war, say 99 or 71, immediately there was Western pressure from the West to cut down or to de-escalate. But there is no such thing happening with Israel right now. So Israel has a diplomatic maneuver in the West. Its relation with USA in particular, its relation with Europe is such that the world will, the West dominated world will always be behind Israel, unlike India. So its relation with West is different compared to India. And thirdly, and I feel this is the most important aspect, if you ask a common Israeli, has Israel truly solved its problem with violence? Israel has gone through the route of violence to solve its problem, but has it truly solved it? Because it's a well-established fact that violence begets violence. If you hit somebody, he might not be able to hit you today, but he will always have that intention of hitting you someday. So violence will always beget violence. And Israel is learning the hard way. And there is a psychological cost. The Israeli society, what psychological cost? Of living in a permanent state of war. Israel is in a permanent state of war. All right now, overt warfare is happening. So, time overt warfare happens. That means covert or overt war happens. They are technologically quite supreme. They have this Iron Dome. It has been able to diffuse all the missiles that is coming in. But still, you can well imagine as a children growing up, as a person, common person growing up there, living in a country which is always in a permanent state of war. Is it a very healthy environment that you want to be in? You will not appreciate it because we have not seen such a scenario, such a social society in India for a long time. And hopefully we stay like that forever. We should always appreciate the fact of the benefits that we are having in living in a relatively peaceful environment. At least externally we are peaceful, internally we have problems. But externally no country is directly attacking us right now. So that is a very good and healthy state to live in and raise, you can say, raise your family, raise your future. So such things has an implication. So all these things points out to the fact that we cannot just blindly follow Israel. Although yes, Israel's methods has meaning at certain, you can say under certain circumstances, like in Balakot, for example. But to be in such a state permanently is a recipe for permanent, you can say permanent psychological damage for the people. So you should be very, very careful while framing opinion on such things. So with that, we come to an end. If any new developments happen in India, Canada, I will try to update you with these things.